Hello, everybody. Welcome to Coders Cafe. And tonight we're going to talk about blockchain. Take it away.
Hey, guys. It's going to be a really awesome experience tonight. So glad you're all here. We're going to have some amazing presentations by Ivan and Justin, and semi-okay by me. So I'll let our guests introduce themselves first. Let's start from the person who's farthest away, Justin.
Yeah, I'm Justin Giudici. I'm from the Telos Foundation. I don't know if you guys have been to previous meetups for Miami, but sorry. Yeah, we've been on before, and we basically have a smart contract network. I guess it's somewhat similar to an Ethereum. It's general purpose. We have a number of different industry verticals running on our blockchain, from social networks to basically every industry, and NFTs, DeFi. So yeah, and yeah.
Yeah, man, there's a lot of people here in Miami who are super excited to interact with you today. I think you're a little bit of a rock star tonight, right? And well, Ivan, the real rock star.
Hey everyone, I'm Ivan Martinez. I'm a software engineer for Prysmatic Labs, building Ethereum 2.0. And recently I actually just picked up a little side gig with NFTX, working on NFT liquidity platform. And yeah, excited to go over some Solidity with everyone today.
So Ivan is our running little joke here that he's our local Zuckerberg. So if you guys have been to previous meetups, we have the AI Blockchain Alliance series of meetups at University of Miami. So Ivan, did a short talk there on AI and blockchain, and that's where we gave him the moniker, like little mini, I think mini Zuckerberg, not little Zuckerberg. And reason we say that is, one reason is, there's a lot of reasons, but like basically, he was the community manager for Open Zeppelin, and then now he's working on ETH2. So he's got a lot of knowledge, and unlike Mark Zuckerberg, Ivan is super humble. So we have to like talk for him. So yeah, great. And I'm Prav. I'm the co-founder of Zenblocks, or Telos Miami, formerly known as EOS Miami. So I'll be presenting on Azure blockchain, and especially Azure blockchain workbench. And we'll also go into Microsoft Mesh to talk about how you can do like XR, AR, VR, XR using blockchain. So it's a super cool time. Basically that's what the metaverse is, basically, which everyone's like interested in. So Ivan's gonna go into NFTs, and I'll go into how you can put NFTs into your games, into your AR, VR projects, and how you can put it all into Azure cloud using Ethereum. And then I think Justin's gonna go into the new enterprise, new EVM for Telos as well. So that's the agenda. So Dave, I guess I'll hand it back to you if you want to start. Yeah. Oh yeah, you're muted, Dave.
Muted, yeah. All right. Thanks for coming, everybody. Yep, take it away. Who's going first? Ivan?
Justin can go first if you'd like.
Justin.
Doing some preparations.
Yeah, sure. Can I share my screen here?
Yep.
Cool. It's asking me to change my preferences. One sec while I fix that up.
Is it allowing you to share?
It's asking me to quit and reopen, which is annoying. Sec. Let me just try and do it without quitting.
Just for everybody here, I see it.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, great.
You can ask questions in the chat on YouTube, and we'll try to answer them.
Yeah, that'd be great. So I'll just give a quick overview just of Telos and what we're about. So we were founded in late December 2018, so a couple of years ago. Unfortunately, we were founded during a time that the market was sort of descending. So we totally missed the 2017 bull run, and then we had to kind of deal with a couple of years of a downturn. And we were actually built by, over 100 people. Pravi was actually one of those people. We came together, we saw some deficiencies with the EOS blockchain, and we really liked that EOS.io code base. And we wanted to take that and really fix up some of the things, including the governance and just the way the blockchain ran. So we spent about 6 months actually like rebuilding the governance contracts and sort of deployed a brand new blockchain in Telos with a WPS system, allowing people to propose work and get that approved, an amendment system, somewhat like a Tezos, I guess, allowing, change of the blockchain governance to occur, just by a proposal and then a full proof of stake based vote. And a number of other improvements that improve governance. So since the launch, we've had like over 100 projects come to our network, as I was saying, from all sorts of different industry verticals. And I'll show you a few of those in a second. But yeah, things have gone really well, but it was a struggle. And since then, we've actually added a number of networks that our token goes onto. We partnered to add a bridge for Ethereum, and now we're trading on Uniswap, and that's improved our markets quite substantially. Next week, we're actually going on to BSC, and we're really building those bridges. And the other thing that we have going on, which is basically one of the key points I want to touch on tonight, is Telos EVM. And that's basically our own Ethereum virtual machine deployment running inside a smart contract on the Telos blockchain. So we've had our own kind of native smart contract standard, in terms of the EOS.io Telos-based contracts that run on C++. And they're quite good, but obviously EOS.io doesn't have the same developer reach as EVM, the same popularity as, coding in Solidity. And we're actually, when we deploy it, probably in the next month or so, we're going to be the first blockchain in the world that I'm aware of that runs both EVM, Solidity, and EOS.io based contracts. So that's a pretty big differentiating factor for us. If you don't know much about EOS.io, that's actually what Wax and EOS use, and so does Telos. So it's actually gained a lot of popularity, but it's just nowhere near where EVM-based development is at. So just a quick run through of what we're about. We're focused on real-world adoption. We have a very fast blockchain. It's 0.5 second block times. It's very cheap. On the EOS.io side, it's like developers can stake for thousands of users, for a couple of $100s. On the Telos EVM side that's upcoming, they can actually, they can't pay for users yet, but we want to be able to add that in future. But for the users, it's only like 1 cent per transaction, per regular transaction. And so it compares quite well even to something like BSC. So yeah, as I was saying, we support NFTs, smart contracts, DeFi. A lot of our dApps are gaming and social media so far, because it requires so many transactions to run those sorts of platforms. Yeah, so it's a very fast blockchain. It can go up to 10,000 transactions per second, but that all depends on the type of transactions they are. but that's what it's performed in testing.
Sure, Justin. Can you talk about like the community aspect? I know that's pretty unique.
Yeah.
And also the foundation, which I know you're part of.
Yeah, no, definitely. So in terms of community, I guess like the community is a big part of this whole thing, because like we never actually did an ICO to start the chain. So the community gets quite active and involved in kind of marketing the chain and helping out the foundation. And the community actually sort of like empowers the foundation. It's the voting of the community that actually funds the foundation and decides what funding we get. And the community can actually like take away the foundation's funding at any given time. So to speak more about the foundation, which I'm a part of, so we basically have a board, and we have a CEO, and yeah, obviously we're funded by the chain, and we kind of handle things like partnerships and contracts and marketing on behalf of the chain. But we could be removed at any time if we do anything, against what the community actually desires. And we're sort of drip fed our funding. So unlike a foundation like Telos, or I don't know what another example is, we don't own like 40% of the chain or 50% of the chain or something ridiculous like that. We get funded, I think it's at about 800,000 Telos a month, and we spend that on behalf of the community. And if we stop spending that effectively, then our funding gets removed, which I think adds a lot of strength to our network. And we get all the advantages of decentralization because we have a very decentralized holding of tokens. But at the same time, we get the benefits of a centralized entity. And moving forward, that entity, the board members will be actually voted in by the community. Previously, the first elections that we used Telos Foundation voting tokens, which went to over 100 founders who helped vote in the board members. But going forward, it will be again like a proof of stake style voting for the foundation. So if you're actually interested in contributing to Telos, we would love to find some great board members if you're interested in that. So yeah, as I was saying, we do EOS IO and EVM. Just a quick comparison with other projects. Sorry, one sec. So actually, we're a very low market cap coin. I think our market cap is actually around 60 million or 70 million right now. But for the amount of dApps we have, the amount of transactions per second, this is actually, this was a conservative number that we gave here, but it's actually, it can do 10,000 plus. And we have like things like user governance for dApps. It's basically a functionality called Decide that dApps can hook into these smart contracts that enable all sorts of different voting methods for their app, whatever it is. Say it's a social media app, where the users of that social media app could decide together to make certain changes to the system, whether it's inflation or whatever. So a lot of these advanced governance features that we've built in, they've actually been, we enable them for the dApps to make use of as well. But yeah, that's just a quick overview of Telos and where we're at. Very community born and raised, and we're sort of starting to hit our straps now. It takes a long time when you don't raise a lot of funding. But now that there's awesome decentralized exchanges like Uniswap and PancakeSwap, we can really start to hit our straps and actually get visibility, and people can actually purchase our tokens now. So that's fantastic.
That's great, man. So can you just briefly go into like what's the advantage of having Telos EVM as opposed to going to regular ETH mainnet, for example? And that we're
Yeah,
starting
yeah.
to get questions in, but everyone on the live stream will answer your questions as the evening goes on.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
So the main advantages of our EVM are that, for instance, the price is quite low at 1 cent per transaction on average, compared to Ethereum. That's going to enable all sorts of different types of apps on Solidity based development that you can't really do at the moment. Social media and gaming are good examples. And even though I said technically there's no developer pays service built in, the developer could technically just send small amounts of tokens to the user because it's so affordable, as long as they obviously want to validate them first. So that's a good way to get around that. We want to really take away those user experience hurdles. So other than that, you of course have the 10,000 transactions per second that can be hit. I don't recall what the new Ethereum 2.0 numbers are, but I think that's a pretty high mark. And yeah, in respect to how we fall in the whole marketplace, I feel like chains like Ethereum, they're really going to hold the majority of the DeFi value of all the trading and high cost, the majority of trading. And I feel like Telos really fits in as a chain that is doing DeFi and NFTs and all these things, but it actually serves the apps more specifically, and then arbitrages with Uniswap and things like BSC Smart Chain for the higher levels of liquidity. So we'll have our own DeFi that's upcoming, but it'll probably serve in the thousands of dollars that retail users and commercial users might need to serve business, and that'll scale up as those businesses need higher values. And we have all the bridges coming, or we already have those bridges on Telos now. We have things like USDC, USDT, Ethereum, Bitcoin. We have those running on our network. So we see those coins as being some of the coins that are accepted by dApps. We're totally open ecosystem in terms of cross-chain coins. And people will be able to run their NFT platforms or games and
awesome,
other things.
So this final question before we move on to Ivan is, so how do people apply for a grant from the Telos Foundation to bring their game or dApp over to Telos?
Yeah, we just did some refreshes on the website, so I don't know if that page is up, but if you would like...
how do people contact you for more
information? If you would like to seek a grant from us, just send an email to hello@telosfoundation.io, and I'd love to get on a call with you guys and learn more. We do have grants. They're on the smaller level at the moment. That's all dependent on our price. We do have a lot of assistance that we provide applications though, including PR support, marketing, and guidance and advisory of all kinds. We help with pitch decks, investor outreach, and all these different things. We also have a number of startup platforms like tstarter.com, and we have Telos T-bonds that allow new blockchain projects to quickly and easily raise money from investors. So those are things that we can help you out with if you are requiring funding and not just assistance in other ways.
It's great, man. Yeah, no really interesting. And so I think we get a couple of questions here.
Sure.
This might be more for, so could you list sample contracts for dissection? I think we'll get into that during the technical portion of the talk. So thanks. Vince is a regular at the meetups.
No worries.
And then Paul, he's the CEO of XR Miami. What is decentralized file storage? I think maybe.
Yeah, definitely. So this is like D-Store, I guess you're referring to? I guess like, sorry, you're probably looking at the website. There's it mentions decentralized file storage. That actually relates to a project called D-Store. It's actually run by a company called Goodblock, and it's basically similar to IPFS. And I'll try and give you guys as good an answer as I can because it's not my project. It's based on IPFS. It's incredibly fast though. It's very optimized from what I hear to like the location of the requester of the files. So it tends to grab those files from a very localized source. So in their testing, it actually showed that it ran faster than things like S3. They've also like priced it to be cheaper than storage like S3. And this is a decentralized storage that basically you could use for non-blockchain apps, but it works obviously quite well for blockchain apps.
Yeah, I can give a summary over IPFS if.
Yeah.
That'd be great because I can't do that.
That's fine. Let's hand the mic over to Ivan now.
So pretty much, IPFS stands for interplanetary file storage. It pretty much means that like if you upload a file to IPFS, nodes around the world will duplicate what you uploaded in several parts, right? So like one node will have like 3 parts of it out of 6. Another one will have like 4 parts of it out of 6. And essentially the goal of it is to keep it redundant, but duplicated, but still somewhat fragmented so that like you're not just counting on one person for it, right? Essentially, like when you upload a file to IPFS, you get like your IPFS hash, which represents the item on the network. And that hash is immutable. It can't be changed. It can't be modified. They do have a problem with permanence. If your objects aren't requested enough, they'll be removed from the network as people prune because it's not like a one-time store for everything. It is a free service. At least the protocol itself is free, but you can pay for other services to say pin your files on the network to essentially make sure that it stays there for you. Because without pinning, it could essentially vanish at any moment. So that's when there's a newer network called Arweave that a lot of people like. That's a one-time store forever. It's been kind of taken some share from IPFS recently. I don't know exact numbers, but it's been quite popular. But yeah,
it's awesome. Thanks, Ivan. Yeah. So as the evening goes on, well, and also as most of you guys know in the audience, that we do office hours every other week anyway. So this can be a teaser, and then we'll do a Zoom call follow up in 2 weeks to get you more in depth into some of these questions. So Ivan, you have the floor. So I think we're all super excited to hear about ETH2 and also NFTs, and also maybe your history of how you went from self-taught to open Zeppelin community manager to now like mini Zuckerberg. Maybe a current startup too. Yeah.
Sure. I mean, I can summarize that up quickly, I guess. But yeah, pretty much I went to PTC Miami in 2019, was it? 2018. And I went with a friend of mine, and I was already deving at the time, but I wasn't doing blockchain at all. And I went with my friend, and my friend was like, "Yo, like this is lit. Like you got to get in. Like you should be on top of this, So he gave me a little pep talk.
Did he really say this is lit, or is that?
Yeah. That's what he told me. Right. So like from then, like I mean, I took his pep talk to heart, and I started learning Solidity.
Cool.
And eventually over time I just made networking, like crypto's great because you just make networks, like once you're on Twitter you start making networks even like that, right? And Discord, a lot of my networks are on Discord, but I just ended up getting enough networks. I managed to get to DevCon 4, and I had a little like developer community at the time, so I hit up Open Zeppelin. Like I walked up to them at the conference. I was like, "Yo, like I made this little community here. Like, do you guys need a community manager role or something?" And they're like, "I think we do. Let's stay in touch."
That's all it took.
That's all it took.
All this time was like, I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, the community was pretty nice. It was like over 2,000 members or something.
Right.
It was pretty active, pretty lively. but yeah, that's how it started. And then eventually I just started contributing more of my time towards ETH2. I saw Prism publishing like the biweekly updates, and I got engaged by them. I started learning more. I started contributing, and then after like 6 months of contributing, I had a chance to meet up with them with one of the founders in Chicago. So I did. We had dinner and we talked. And then I get home and they call me like, "Yo, you want to join Prism?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, I want to join." So I literally
I think
dropped
you
everything.
got that offer during our meetup. So that's when we got the meeting where you announced it at least.
Yeah. So yeah, that was great. And yeah, I've been with them since then.
Awesome. Yeah,
Two,
yeah. If you can
2
talk
years now.
about who Prism is, what they're doing, and also their work on ETH2. I think
Sure.
we already have questions here. So I think maybe you can start. During your talk, you can basically start talking about this. Like a lot of people who are on this call right now, they're like Azure developers. So I'll be talking about that later. But also there's a lot of EOS developers and people who like are know about blockchain, they don't know about Ethereum. So I think maybe you'd be the best person to talk about some of these things. So yeah, I don't know if you could open up some sample contracts from Opens Up or just during your we have time, but just
Okay.
we'll
Okay.
hit
Yeah, I'll walk through some contracts
awesome.
during my talk. Yeah. So I'm with Prism, Prysmatic Labs. We're working on a production quality, consumer oriented node software for Ethereum 2.0. We currently have the largest share of validators of beacon nodes. You can't really tell validators, but of beacon nodes in the network. We're at about like 55%. It's not really good.
Can you define some of these terms as you go along?
Sure.
As well?
Sorry.
Yeah.
So
because even in the Ethereum community, I think some of those terms aren't defined
sorry. It's
properly.
just when you're in the sauce, it's just like
right. Yeah.
I gotta like.
Remember, ETH2 is not out
translate.
yet, so yeah, it's definitely.
Yeah, it's okay. So yeah, well, we have the beacon chain currently live, which is like the spine of proof of stake for Ethereum 2.0 and consensus and all that mumbo jumbo. You have the beacon chain, which manages all the validators pretty much. Like instead of becoming a miner, you become a validator, and you essentially use your staked currency as like weight to your truth of which block is valid. So that's essentially proof of stake in a nutshell. And Ethereum 2.0 uses that as consensus because it's much more it's way more consistent. It's not super unreliable like proof of work. Proof of work is random when blocks arrive, right? And it's also extremely expensive to maintain because everyone's running mining setups, right? So proof of stake is a lot cheaper. It allows for more consistent setups. So we work on the software that lets you manage your node for your beacon chain client, and then lets you run your validator that you stake 32 ETH for to validate on the network. And essentially, I've mainly done I've built some testing frameworks for Prism. I've helped them a lot on the Slasher client, which essentially is a client that catches if a validator signs an invalid message. And if they do sign an invalid message that can be considered malicious, it slashes them, kicks them out of the network, charges them a penalty fee. And that's kind of like what protects the security of the network. That validators can be slashed if they go against what they previously voted on, pretty much, because then that's grounds for trying to mess with the chain.
Yeah, I think Justin probably has some info about that. Kicking people out and making sure. Similar to block producer concepts on EOS IO chains. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So that's a summary of Prism. I've mainly been helping with the Slasher, some API stuff recently. Yeah. I mean, I guess I can start digging into the contracts.
Yeah, man. Yeah, cool. You can share your screen.
Sure.
Cool.
How to share my full? Okay. Location window. Here we go. Okay, so I'm just going to start this off by walking through the ERC 721 contract. I'll link this in the chat for anyone who. Oh, I can't. Whoops, you can't do that anymore. If someone can someone can forward that link to me, please. For me, please. I'm not logged in on YouTube.
Yeah, I think in the private chat.
Yeah, I got it there for you.
Dave, do you have it there?
Yeah, I sent it in the private chat.
Yeah.
So this is the ERC 721 contract on Open Zeppelin. This is what most ERC 721s consist of. The only ones notably that don't are CryptoPunks, because the standard didn't exist at the time that CryptoPunks were made. So they kind of did their own thing. That's totally different from, doesn't follow any standard. And for those who don't know, CryptoPunks are like the first NFT pretty much on Ethereum, at least the first popular one.
I think that's going to be pretty. I guess people can screenshot that, but yeah, I'll post it in the meetup.
Sure. Yeah, you can always go to the Open Zeppelin repo and look for the ERC 721 part. It's in the token folder. But yeah, essentially you have the name, you have the symbol, which is like, you know, how you can tell which contract it is through the name and the symbol. And you define those when the contract is deployed. So you say the name and the symbol here, and they get assigned. And you have like ERC20, they work through a transfer from method.
So Scott's asking you to obviously you see
sure, is this better? Oh yeah, I can do this also. One second, widen my screen a little bit. Can I close this? Is that better? That looks a bit better. Yeah. That look good? I don't think that looks good. So yeah, every ERC20s they have a transfer function and a transfer from function. Pretty much the transfer function lets the owner of the tokens transfer them easily. But transfer from is needed if someone else is transferring them from you, right? I think in ERC 721 they actually looked at ERC20 and said, why does ERC20 suck? And they made the improvements to ERC 721. So notably, they made a few things like the operator system. Let me find that here. Right, so in ERC 721, you can define an operator, which has full spending rights for your tokens, pretty much. I know that sounds scary, but most contracts, they can't really spend your tokens unless you're the one calling the contract, right? Like if it uses message.sender, it means that they can only spend the tokens of the person calling it, right? It's not like a contract can spend another person's tokens if they're not calling it. So if you call it, you're giving it permission to spend your tokens pretty much. So you can assign an operator, so which can be any contract. So let's say OpenSea, which is an ERC 721 exchange marketplace. You can set OpenSea as an operator, and then every time you try to anytime you say complete a deal, a trade on OpenSea, it would go to transfer from here, and it'll say, oh, is it approved or an owner? And it'll check, okay, is the person trying to spend me approved for this? And I'll say, oh, yep, they're approved, and it'll let them spend your tokens. With ERC20, there's no such operator function. It's just approving in amounts, and usually what people do is they just approve to infinite, so that they don't need to send that approved transaction over and over again. But the operator system is pretty nice because instead the alternative to doing this for NFTs would be to manually approving each NFT to be spent, which would be pretty terrible to do, because if you have like 20 NFTs, you gotta send the transaction for each of them to approve. So they built that operator system for it. And one nice thing that they also do with ERC 721 is they have this addition of a safe transfer from function, which it doesn't exist, at least in the normal ERC20 standard. Safe transfer from pretty much lets you, if you're transferring to a smart contract, let's say you're doing it by mistake, like I've sent tokens myself to the wrong address before. That was a contract, and then they're stuck forever, you know. So that's more difficult to have it on ERC 721 because they have this safe transfer here, which pretty much transfers it to the contract, and then it tries calling a function on the contract to make sure that the contract supports receiving ERC 721. So we check that function here. It's a bit complicated, but you can see the to address. It's saying, okay, on received, does it return what I want it to? If it does, then we're good. If it doesn't, then error or error, right? So that's a really nice feature that they added. I wish ERC20s had that. Probably could have prevented a lot of mistakes. I think that covers most of it. Any
So, I mean,
questions?
when you're the community manager for Open Zeppelin, is this the type of feedback you give to the product managers, or what were you doing as community manager?
Yeah, usually I was hanging out in their Telegram or their discourse forum and listening to any feedback, getting reports of any problems that they had, making sure that anyone who had a problem had it solved, even if it wasn't it might not have been directly my solution to solve, but if it wasn't, I would go and contact someone who would have known how to solve it, and then get the problem solved right there. Uh, yeah, they have a new guy now. His name's like Abcoat or something. He's great. I see him on all the time. He's doing a great job. Yeah. So this is the mint function. I mean, most ERC20s have this. For ERC721, it's mainly the same. Well, I gotta go over the extensions. So yeah, there's pretty much a map that says like, oh, okay, this owner or like this token ID is owned by this address. Whenever you do a transfer, it changes that map. So this is the token ID it's a mapping of token ID to the address of the owner. So if anybody calls a transfer, it changes the owner of that token ID to you, and it reduces the balance of 1 from whoever sent it, and it increases your balance by 1 to who's receiving it. ERC721s actually have a balance of function also. So if you want to just quickly check how many ERC20s and ERC721s someone has, you can just do balance of. That'll work no problem. And there's a few extensions for ERC721. So notably, there's the metadata extension that lets you associate, like it lets you put the IPFS hash of NFT on chain. So that way, if anybody's trying to read the data of your NFT, say they want to find the image or something, or the data of your NFT, they can find it through this function, this token URI function. So it's really neat to have like the way to get your information for the NFT on chain. That's what this extension is for. They pretty much built a bunch of extensions to the ERC721 standard in order to let people build what they need to do on it, but still keeping a streamlined standard. So this is the implementation of the token URI. Quick implementation, you just define the function. Like, for example, we go to, this is wrapped punks here. This is the code for the wrapper for CryptoPunks. I'm trying to make this bigger.
Yeah, it's so.
Yeah, so if you go here to read contract, you can see their base URI is links to their API. And maybe if I were to try just 0 there, see, it gets there. It's hard to read, but it gives me the image for the punk. Oh, that's not working. But this is usually how most NFTs work. They have the URI on chain, and then you can say get the URI from here, right? Oh. Yeah. This is a really simple contract. It just serves as a little wrapper for the CryptoPunk contract, because it's not normally a you see the CryptoPunk contract has functions like transfer punk. Let me go to the code here. Yeah, the CryptoPunks contract, it actually has a marketplace built into the 721 code. So if I go here to transfer punk.
And Ivan, could you after this, can you just back up a little bit and go into more simple, like how to get started, because literally that's the level a lot of people are at right now with Ethereum.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah. Basically, I think like the functions are interesting, but I think they need the context of maybe a hello world type thing first.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. I can do something like that. I'll just get to that. So yeah, just very quick here. I'm gonna call this inbox. Let me try to make this bigger. Bigger, right? Yeah, so I guess we'll just write a quick little contract just to show some stuff. So the first line of any Solidity smart contract is the version. So it's the keywords pragma, Solidity, and then the version. We're going to be using the latest version of Solidity, 0.8.x. This little uptick here means that as long as it's on the same major version, it'll pick the latest patch, or it'll work with any version as long as it's this one, because there's no breaking changes unless this changes. Go ahead and start with finding the name of it. This is the inbox, for example. And because it's an inbox, we're going to have a message, right? So we're going to have a string public message. This is undefined public. If you assign something as public, there's also private too as a identifier, but nothing is private on the chain. It's all public, right? But if you define it as public, so the Solidity compiler automatically generates a getter function. So if I were to compile this right now, let me turn on auto compile. So if I were to compile this right now, let me sign something here. Let me say, so if I deploy this, I'm using this. This is Remix, by the way. Remix IDE, super awesome. It's a Solidity development environment all in your browser. I use it a lot when I just need to do something really quick.
Yeah, I think later on for the Microsoft got people, we'll also go into VS Code later on the talk tonight. So yeah.
Yeah, so like this is great. There's a joke that a lot of hackers use this because it's just like you can just do it super anonymously and whatever. You can just get it up and deploy from here super easily. Call the functions you need super easily. So yeah, I'm gonna deploy this. You can see message. If I call the function message, it's gonna tell me hello. Yeah, so let's try to change that. So if I try to make a function here, let's do set message. Take in a string. We're gonna have to define this string as call data, meaning that it's not in memory or it's not on storage. It's coming from a transaction. So we're gonna make this external, meaning that this function can only be called by other contracts. The function cannot be used internally in the contract itself. That's what external means. And then we're gonna just have message equals new message here. Let me change this to new message. We're gonna deploy this again. You see, this is gonna say, I don't know if you can barely see it here on the bottom. It's a little hard to. Can't really make it bigger. Maybe I can if I do this. I try to make it bigger, but it says hello here. I'm gonna change this to world.
You probably click on next to deploy and run, that little box. I might remove that on the up, yeah, at the top, at the very top.
Next deploy and run.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Click on that.
This thing?
Yeah, maybe that'll remove it.
Some other stuff.
Never mind.
Yeah.
That's how it works in VS Code. Yeah.
Oh. So there you go. You can see the transaction completed. Let me make this a little bit bigger. See, my transaction completed locally. So if I call message again, it's going to show world. Anyway, I can do it. Go ahead and do that again.
So when you say locally, is that on your local MacBook, or is it?
This is so Remix. It lets you just host a little EVM instance in your browser. So if I wanted to, I could just it's just all in the browser. If I refresh, this goes away.
So that's huge because that's some of the problems we're going to have later on in our VS Code demos. But yeah, it's cool if Remix solves some of these.
Yeah. There's some tools like Ganache. One of them is called Ganache that lets you spin up a whole little ETH blockchain locally. Extension. Which extension am I using? For what?
And then also someone had Hard Hat.
Hard Hat. Yes, Hard Hat is great. Let me go to Hard Hat. Oh, good. It's so hard to Google anything Ethereum related because you always get something else. You gotta type Ethereum after it. So Solidity hasn't always been very good to develop in. When it was young, it was pretty bad. But now we have awesome tools like Hard Hat that make it super easy to develop. And they let you. It makes it super easy to integrate testing and everything in your own local chain. It's the Solidity didn't have any console logs until Hard Hat came in. So if you had to debug something, it would be extremely painful to figure out what was going wrong. So thankfully, Hard Hat added console logging just so you could see what's going on in your contract.
So so Justin, like when you do the the Telos EVM, right? Like how is some of these issues going to be handled on the Telos EVM side? For example, I know with we'll get into a little bit in a second with the history of EOSIO with Azure, starting with Azure blockchain tokens with Mythical and all them folks, but I guess since Telos is the first EOS chain to actually institute the EVM, how are developers going to be using this? Is it going to be Open Zeppelin or is it going to be Hard Hat? What's the actual workflow going to be?
Yeah, I'm not actually a developer, so some of this stuff I don't know for sure, but I believe a lot of these are compatible with all EVMs. I'm not sure which ones exactly. The one you were coding in, sorry, I've totally blanked on the name of it, even though it's super common. That actually,
Remix.
Remix, yeah, we've tested that and it does work.
Nice.
So I'm not sure about Hard Hat, whether that works with things like BSC and other EVM-based chains, but if it does, then
it should work. Yeah, they're pretty good with support. You just plug in the RPC, the API endpoints and everything, and it should work pretty well.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we'll definitely be recommending most of these.
So would it be just like another? So in Remix, would you connect to an ID of a Telos-based chain instead of mainnet or instead of like another testnet, or would it be like that seamless?
From memory, I think our ID is like 41 and 42. Okay. Let me just double check. But yeah, and other than that, it's just using our RPC address. So, yeah, it's just using one of our RPC addresses. So yeah, it's pretty simple.
It's awesome. And then will it support ETH2 off the bat and Beacon, or how is this going to work?
Yeah, for that kind of stuff, the goal, we're still a bit far from it. They have accelerated the merge part of like the merge of ETH1 into ETH2. They've accelerated that part quite a bit. We already have some testnets going that are a merge client of the ETH1 node running with the ETH2 consensus. There's already a testnet for it. We're trying to get like a devnet going. There's actually a hackathon going on right now. I think it's called Revinism. Focused on the merge. Yeah, this is it here. So this straight focusing on the merge. The goal for the merge should be that nothing is disturbed, pretty much. Hopefully, you just have all the tools instead of just watching like an ETH1 node, they just watch an ETH2 node, right? And that way, we don't need to actually change any of the tooling or anything because the tooling is the best part of ETH. Like nothing beats it. We can't leave that behind. So it's important that we maintain all of that.
Great.
So yeah, hard hat's great. If you're trying to learn, I'll go ahead and bring you up.
And I think you were going to talk about NFTs tonight too, Ivan. You mentioned you wanted to.
I mean, yeah, a bit. I just went over the code for him.
I think that's the hot topic, right? You know, everyone.
Yeah, super hot.
NFT bubble.
Super hot. Yeah.
Might as well. Why don't you like tell us about all your friends' NFTs? Everyone's got some random person that became an artist the last 2 weeks so they can do an NFT.
Right. There's been I don't know if you guys have seen Foundation.app. This is where a bunch of old memes have been selling as NFTs. So like the Nyan Cat NFTs have been super popular recently. Like the guy who drew the original Nyan Cat art, he started making NFTs of them. This is the original one. I got 300 ETH. People just love owning the actual meme from the owner of the meme, right?
So why has this all of a sudden taken off, right? You know, NFTs have been around for a while.
Right. I don't know, man. It's really, I mean, it took time for them to be established, I guess. Like now that punks are established, it's let other things become established, I guess, right? Like punks kind of like paved the ground. And now that people like see the value of owning a punk, they can see the value of owning stuff like this, you know?
Yeah. So Justin, like, you know, like how is like if someone mints an NFT on mainnet versus Telos versus whatever, right? How is the value going to be swapped between chains? Is it going to be one NFT period, or is it going to be an NFT copy to each chain, or how's it actually going to work? You think?
Yeah, I think there'll probably be like similar bridges to like what seems to happen for fungible tokens, in that the NFT is held in a special account and locked up, and it can sort of move on to another chain using some sort of Oracle service or something to validate. So yeah, I'm not 100% sure. We haven't actually seen a lot of those cross-chain NFTs yet. It'll be interesting. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure how that will work. I think like there's a bit of a bubble in terms of NFTs at the moment. I'm pretty psyched about NFTs actually, but just like these ones that are just like GIFs and don't have any meaningful property or assets tied to them, I think like that's a bit of a bubble for now. It's just like, I don't know about Ethereum, but on other networks I've seen there's not a lot of actual, it's hard to resell them after the first sale. But maybe Ethereum is changing that, I'm not sure.
Sure.
Yeah, a lot of these people they buy them for like just to own them, right? Like you don't pay this much to flip.
Yeah. That's a lot though to pay. That's crazy.
That is a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the change. You know, it seemed to be at some point, you know, we were using NFTs as something to use inside of games, right? Or, you know, or as, you know, like a procedurally generated art or something. You know, they actually had a use case, not to just own per se. Now, you know, it's like Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin originally was a transaction service, and then it became a holder of value, like a gold service. And I think that's interesting how NFTs have done that. People are actually just buying them to own it rather than buying to use them in a game or something else.
Right.
Totally.
Like visual art. Yeah, there's this website called Art Blocks that they host like generative art for. The most current token classification back in the day was 721. There is now there's 1155 now, ERC 1155, which is a few projects use it. Euler Beats, for example, uses them. They're a generative music project. So all these are music generated NFTs. They're all ERC 1155, meaning that there's multiple of the same unique asset. So like LP01, there's 69 prints of LP01, for example. But yeah, there's also ERC 777, which is supposed to be an improvement over ERC 20, but it hasn't really taken off. just to answer the question. But yeah, art blocks lets people publish generative art projects on Ethereum. So if you can see these let you mint art through art blocks. And if you mint it, the one that you get is totally randomly generated, and they have a cap on minting them. So this one can reach up to 664 mints.
Well, it's not just the friction of limited supply; it's also like high gas fees, right? So I'm wondering,
yeah, sometimes they're pretty expensive.
But I'm wondering though, if that actually increases the value, and then with ETH2, if you can flip them more easily, if that's going to perhaps change the value of the market too. If right now you buy it and you don't want to sell it because you got to wait to recover your gas fees in and out.
Yeah, that's a problem with some NFTs that they have too high supply. An OpenSea trade is like $40. So if you're trading something, like if you're not trading, like if the NFT is super high supply and it's not, it gets to a low price where buying on OpenSea isn't really worth it anymore. It's kind of problematic. This is a popular one recently. But just there's been a lot of like generative projects on chain. I like generative projects because if you feel like it's yours, like no one has the same exact one that you have.
Cool. So can you do the live, or what happens? How does this generate?
Well, they show you. Wow, I don't know how this one would work. Oh, never mind. It's just the image. Some of them. Where is it?
Well, the live might be because it was maybe it's not always frowning if something happened.
This is one that generates for you like on the fly. I got one of these. It's pretty nice. So I just wanted to snag one.
That's really cool. How does it generate on the fly? Is there some sort of AI involved in the within the NFT?
I'm not sure. They probably have like some generative, like the generation itself probably isn't on chain. Maybe they have like some script for it that uses the token ID or something. There's a lot of really cool ones here. Yeah, there's probably some separate software that they use the ID based on to generate it. Oh, here's the live script. Oh, just like the script for it. I don't know. That's cool.
That's awesome. And Ivan, can you go into your current job and your current company, Prism, and then basically what we can expect and how we can prepare as developers for ETH2. So I mean, a lot of us, who are just getting into ETH now. What can we like skip? If we just we can't know everything.
Right. Well, I mean, hopefully you won't need to know too much about ETH2, right? Like that's kind of like the goal. Hopefully it just comes and everybody sees the benefits of it, right? In terms of scaling, the scaling benefits won't be massive. We'll get away from proof of work, so that's always a win, right? But hopefully the scalability comes before ETH2. We're starting to see layer 2s already crop up. A lot of projects using rollups and stuff like that, or side chains or something to improve scalability on Ethereum. Like recently, there's been Polygon, and Optimism has been another one that's been really popular. Hopefully, Uniswap uses them. Yeah, I mean, hopefully, there's nothing too crazy that goes on, right? The goal would just be that we swap the network to ETH2 pretty seamlessly. Yeah, my work probably for the next few months is going to be working on the merge, making sure the testnet is going well. Maybe trying to build some demo applications on the merge testnet just to show like that the merge is working and that there's things that you can benefit from, that like there's going to be like consistent block times, on-chain randomness that's much less like biasable. Yeah.
Cool. And then maybe if you can get some advice for developers, I mean, if maybe put on your old Open Zeppelin community manager hat. Like how does someone like, maybe talk to yourself, from before the guy said it was lit, right? Getting you into this space.
Right.
How does a new person, maybe like a developer who knows this is a Microsoft meetup. So someone who's familiar with things like .NET or other basic coding JavaScript, how do they become a Solidity developer? And maybe with Justin, like how does someone who's like a developer get involved in the new Telos EVM projects from a developer point of view or even an artist point of view?
So for Solidity, I mean, I recommend, like, people always wonder how to start programming, right? I know it might seem easy for me to say this from my experience, but really, like, just get started. Like, just start digging in and trying to find something. I recommend Crypto Zombies. Crypto Zombies is like the go-to.
Have they updated that in like?
Good question. I actually don't know. Can we check? This is like the go-to course for anyone who wants to learn Solidity, at least at the start, right? Oh my god. Maybe a little demo thingy here. This is okay. No, it's on Solidity 0.5, so but it's still good. You don't need to learn the latest version of Solidity. It's pretty ubiquitous. Yeah, Crypto Zombies is awesome. Huge recommend. If anyone wants to learn, I'm gonna put it in the private chat if you can send it over. This is great. Read the docs for Solidity. This is also fantastic. They're pretty thorough. A lot of people refer to these for help, so there's that. If you're trying to learn how to interact with the blockchain through, say, JS, Ethers.js is awesome. There's also Web3.js, but Ethers is a much better library. So I recommend people use that over. I'm gonna link that in the chat too. Yeah. And then Hard Hat's great. They just give you a good. When you open up the project, there's a good like demo already in it. So if you want to just like start that up, and then just mess around in there. I mean, you have to learn the syntax a bit. That's what Crypto Zombies can help you with. But Hard Hat's great for just messing around, compiling. You run this command to compile it. Yeah.
It's awesome. And then, and Justin, what is your recommendations for people getting started? Maybe who have some basic background.
So we've got a docs portal. It's called docs.telos.net. So you can find specific information there relating to our EVM. It's still kind of early in terms of the EVM documentation though. But I think like all of Ivan's answers really apply here because it is going to be a code compatible kind of EVM. The only thing that changes, I guess, is the RPC server and the chain ID. So yeah, we'll continue to improve that documentation over time. But for now, if you want to deploy something on Telos and you want to start developing it, I mean, you can either use our testnet, and I think the information is probably on the site by now. Otherwise, you can come into our community chat and we'll help you out. Or you could just use any kind of EVM testnet, start developing, and then within around about a month, we should have our mainnet launched, and you'll be able to deploy it there as is. So we'll see how that goes. Of course, that's just based on what we're kind of hoping for and how things are going, but some things change. But yeah, for the most part, it's just like regular Solidity development, so you can use all the same resources.
Okay, great. Thanks, guys. It's been a pleasure having you both as Meetup guests, and I think let's bring Dave back on the stream here.
Yeah, that's great. It's a lot to follow up on. So.
Right.
Yeah, I've looked into some of the crypto and fooled around with some of the.
Guys,
trying things.
Whoever's on live stream, don't log off. Like now, after this, we're gonna get into the Azure blockchain aspect and in the EOS Ethereum there as well. But I know some people came just to hear the superstars, Justin and Ivan. So I'm just telling you guys, it's safe to log off now because now we're just gonna get to the David and Prav stuff, the not as much superstars as Justin and Ivan.
Thanks for having us. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks a lot.
It's fun to
Yeah.
have
So,
on.
do you guys have any last parting?
Come join or go to telos.net, check out our site, download a wallet, visit our community chat, come say hi. We'd love to have you all involved in Telos. That's about it.
Cool. And Ivan?
Yeah, I guess I'll link my developer server.
Sure.
So people, if anybody wants to join it, they can hop on and learn.
Telos.net, by the way. So
1 second. So here you go. I'm gonna link it in the private chat. This is the Discord server aimed at Solidity development. So if there's anything you want to learn, just a bunch of people on there who can help at any time, answer questions, all that good stuff. And check out the people I'm with at prismaticlabs.com.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to put some of these. If you guys don't worry, we'll put it in the Meetup and the
Sounds good.
YouTube and the chats.
Yeah.
It's gonna be sure hard to type all the stuff in.
Right, no
yeah, they're all on the YouTube at least. So
Oh, great. Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah, there you go.
I'm posting up. Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome.
Okay. All right, great. Yeah, thanks. I guess now we'll start the Microsoft Azure. This is a Microsoft meetup, so we can't forget.
Cheers, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Ivan.
Thanks, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye.
Yeah, Dave, it's pretty heavy stuff, man. It's there's one more thing he shared. Ivan's.
I think I got them all. Prysmatic Labs is the last one.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Anyway, it's all on the YouTube comments in any case. So.
Yeah. So for this section, hey guys, so we posted on the Meetup comment section a GitHub page, a GitHub link. You guys can fork either now or after the Meetup. It's basically my GitHub. I created a blockchain link, so you guys can fork all the code that we're going to present now. And I do realize, it's a lot to absorb. But I think though it's going to be valuable even if you guys just listen and just watch us, because I noticed that when we were going through setting up this workshop and setting up the workshop and testing out all the code, a lot of the documentation from Microsoft and was from YouTube videos and things that are very out of date. So, I guess that's the benefit of having a meetup like this too, is, we went through the pain so you guys don't have to. So we got to the point where we could do a basic Azure Ethereum application. And so you guys can follow along about how we basically fixed the documentation, so to speak. And so we're going to be using basically Microsoft tools, even though that might not be, the common way to do it in the Ethereum world. This is a Microsoft meetup. So we're going to shift our focus to Azure and Microsoft tools now. And that'll be very helpful also, even people who aren't used to Microsoft, to see basically how the enterprise side of the world lives. So first of all, everyone, I think most people know, Azure is well, maybe I'll let Dave talk about Azure in general, then I'll do the.
Well, it's a public cloud. It's a major competitor with AWS and GCP, the Google Cloud. Actually, we have Bark. I don't know if Bark is still on. She's actually a cloud advocate for Microsoft.
Yeah, and you send her the StreamYard link if she wants to come on. So.
And so it's a big public cloud with any service or anything you'd want. And this is new to me, this Azure blockchain workbench. So I'm interested in learning more about that. I did start to set up the Azure part of it at least, but I haven't gotten any further than that.
Okay. So let's just dive right in. Okay.
Let me.
All right, guys. So this is I'm gonna start from what the final version looks like right now, so you know what we're gonna build to, and then so basically, a lot of you guys know we also host a lot of gaming meetups, and on and off we've hosted even blockchain game meetups. So people who have been to other meetups before with us, including blockchain gaming meetups, you'll get benefit about how to do this on the enterprise side with Azure, as opposed to other ways we've done it at previous meetups or our game jams at FIU and University of Miami. In particular, this is very important for game developers where there's something called Azure blockchain tokens. It hasn't had much buzz lately, but it was a huge thing when it launched around 2018, 2019, including people from EOS.io, Mythical Games. A lot of people from different chains got into Azure blockchain tokens. And it was supposed to be a way for people to put blockchain NFT items inside their games and have them like verified by Azure, basically in a very standard format too. So we'll get into that. So definitely this isn't just like, one-off. I think you guys will get a lot of benefit out of this too, especially if you are developing applications that have a lot of users, because like one of the big things is, gas fees and scalability is a huge problem in blockchain right now. And I think Azure can help solve some of these things. So first of all, you all should understand there's different versions of Ethereum, right? So, we had someone from the Telos Foundation on right now, and there's a Telos EVM, but also within Ethereum itself, there's also different versions. So the version of Ethereum that we're going to be talking about mostly today, that's part of Azure cloud services, is basically Ethereum like proof of authority type network, and that's important really for enterprise type clients of Microsoft, or if you're a developer working on this stuff and you have clients, because if you're building an enterprise application, that's kind of what you're doing, right? If you have an IoT thermometer device or, or a game even too, you don't want anyone to be able to write to the blockchain or write your smart contract. Basically, you have to have the proof of authority that you have the rights to write to the contract. So for example, one of the examples we're going to go over today is like a frequent flyer application to frequent flyer points. So the frequent flyer, the airline has rights to issue points while the customer has rights to spend the points, for example, too. That's a basic example. But, that's the type of stuff that Azure is really good for. And the way that we're going to be showing that tonight is we're going to be using a lot of Azure tools, including Azure Active Directory. Basically, a lot of the databases and the web application tools too. So all that stuff is very. I'm not saying it's easy on Azure, but it's definitely it definitely reduces your a lot of the pain points once you figure out how to do it. Like for example, earlier Ivan showed you Remix, right? So I'm going to be comparing what we do today with VS Code, what Ivan showed in Remix too, and I'll show you what VS Code has in its favor versus Remix. So you guys can mix and match how you use the tools based upon your workflow that day or that week or based on the project. So let's dive in. So this is our final project. So let me just, so basically this is a ping pong game, obviously the back end. So this is Azure Blockchain Workbench, right? So this is basically showing you underneath what's actually happening in the smart contract. So the things that Ivan showed you earlier today, he showed you the front end, but he didn't really show you what's actually happening on the blockchain. And if he did, generally he would show you on a blockchain explorer, which is just give you hashes or basic data. What the blockchain workbench does is actually shows you all the data and also all all the states that happen inside of the contract too. So this is a ping pong game, right? Basically, it's like two players. So, ping, ping, ping. You see, basically, the game is created and you start playing, right? And you see the other player here. Basically, I created two. Let me find the other. Basically, I created like two additional Active Directory users. Yeah, so you guys know this is a live demo, but you can see all the same, like Microsoft trying to keep you sign in every 2 seconds, right?
Yeah.
So basically, that was one player. This is the other player here. All right, I'm going to put both of the screens on at the same time, so you can see the players playing against each other in real time. That's kind of interesting, huh? And after so basically, one of my users is, maybe I should have used different names, but okay. So this is the admin account. This is the one we're gonna do all the code from, and this is one of the player accounts. This is I think these are both the same. Yeah, that's the thing is with all these Azure logins, right? You have to have them in different browsers. So I used Chrome and then Chrome Incognito, and then we used
Yeah, you can actually, well, you can change identities, like within Edge, spawn off another browser with a different identity.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, multiple identities, whether it's Azure or Microsoft or Google or any of them, it's a pain in the butt.
All right. All right, that's cool. So this one is Praveen at Yalamanchi.com. That's one player. This one is Prav at MyTransmedia. That's player 2. And then the admin that owns all the code is Prav via Gmail. So basically, I guess it's based on the color. All right, so I'm going to show in real time, and then this is the code right here. So let me just briefly run through the code real quick, and then we'll run it, and then and we're going to recreate the code during this meetup as well. So and since this meetup is recorded, you guys can obviously replay it as well. So all this GitHub code is on the GitHub we provided for the workshop. So this is the ping pong game right here. I guess we have to make this bigger. Appearance. How do you increase font size on a Mac?
I don't know.
Okay.
There's a zoom. Well, there's a zoom, obviously. I don't know about the fonts.
All right. Well, you guys have the GitHub code anyway. So basically, when you do this type of thing, you need to have a JSON, and you need to have the JSON, and then you have the Solidity code. So the Solidity code is here, and the JSON is here. It's pretty simple. You're gonna like I'm gonna show it to you right now. It's basically, I'll show you exactly what's happening right here. So basically, this is a ping pong game. This is on the GitHub. It's creating like application states, and if you're a game developer, this is basically part of your game lifecycle. Oh, yeah. Ask Damien. Damien always knows. Command plus. All right, great. We'll try that in a second.
That'll zoom. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. So basically, the different states are the game is starting, and what this example shows is basically how one smart contract can spawn another smart contract, basically, and then how different players can interact with the same smart contract. So basically, we're going to start this. We're going to start the game, which is the first starter smart contract, and that's going to instantiate on its own the second smart contract, which is the player smart contract. And what's going to happen is the game's going to start, and then the input, which is basically example of player input, is we're going to put in a number, an integer about how many times we're going to hit the ball back and forth, right? And then that's going to be ping is player one, pong is player two. So you're going to see the two players written on the blockchain. It's going to be, ping player one on blockchain, then the second player in a smart contract blockchain is going to say pong. So you're going to see that in real time being written to the blockchain. And then after all the ping pong goes back and forth based on the number of times we put in the integer, we're going to get into the game finished state of the smart contract. So let's do this right now. And then we're going to, right. So you see the first one, this is, so Praveen Gmail, this is the admin. So I'm going to start the workflow now. So you see, I played the game twice already, right? So I'm going to click new game, basically. I'm going to call it, let's call it Damien. That's our super fan, Damien. Damien 1, as he's number 1. So create. So let me try to put this side by side so you guys can see in real time this actually happening. That's what's cool about Azure Blockchain Workbench. You can actually see all this stuff like super real time. Let's see. So Damien 1, I'm going to hit create. So it says contract is being created. Working on contract ID. So game provision, right? So you remember back here when I told you about these different states, this is where we are. This is where we are right now. We're at state 1. So the contract, we click the starter smart contract and we create a new game. So we're at the point of game provisions right now. So let's double click on this. You can see exactly it's where we are. We're at the state of game provisioned. So basically Praveen Yalamanchi, that was the admin, did the create action on the smart contract to do this. And the first state is game provisioned, right? So now this is the magic now of Azure Blockchain Workbench and Azure Ethereum in general. See this button take action here. This is actually now we're going to take an action as a player would on the smart contract. While if we have to do this in Remix or in Unity or JavaScript or basically any sort of like front end to create a game, it'd be really hard for us to test this, right? Because we basically have to go into Unity and basically have a player actually do some action in Unity, right? Where on Blockchain Workbench, we can actually test the backend smart contract by just clicking a button. So the first contract state is Damien 1 game name and start game, right? So how many times are we going to play ping pong back and forth? Dave?
2.
No,
5.
we wanted to be able to show
10,000. How's that?
All right, let's do 9.
Yeah. Okay.
So take action. So you can see, this. So literally this is So we're gonna click on the player. You can see right here. It actually it created the game first. Then I hit start the game. Then went pong 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 pong, finish game, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why did it only say pong 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 pong, right?
Ping was asleep.
Because ping 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 is over here. That's PraveenYalamanchi.com, right? So basically, the activity of player 1 was always the pong guy, while player 2 was the ping guy. And I'm going to show this again in real time so you can see both states being updated, right? Side by side. See if I can make this a little bit wider.
So you put in a 9. Why did it actually do 9 of them?
So it looks like it did 1, 2, 3, 4, and then did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 9. So total.
I got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's no more actions to take right now because it's already the game is already finished, right?
Right. So this contract is complete.
Yeah. You can see here though, you can look at the contracts, but the contract is complete. But now let's do it in real time now. So we'll do the starter, new. We'll call it Damien 2. Create. So basically you saw here, right? Already you can see the smart contract number 8 that's the game we just created, right? And this starter contract created the player contract, basically, and that's ID number 9. So I didn't have to click player. This contract created this contract, right? Mm-hmm. So let's see what this says, right? So I'm going to put this in real time so you guys can see side by side as this is happening. So it recorded the action create in the play. So this is created the player contract, right? And on this side, this created the
ping and the pong.
Yeah, yes, this is the starter contract. This is the player contract. So they're both creates, but they're 2 separate contracts, right? So now you see, during the workflow is you have to start the game from the starter side, right? Mm-hmm. So watch this side here as I take action on this side. So I'm going to take action. I'm going to put start game. So let's do 12 this time. You see this, both sides are being updated.
Right.
Yeah. So on this side, it's all pong, 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 pong. This side's all ping, 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 ping. And then the game is finished. So, that's kind of cool, right? To see this all in real time. And it'll basically definitely help you if you're game developers or any sort of application developer to debug your game, or even to figure out what's actually happening too. For example, you're asking why was there only 5 here and 6 here, for example, right? It's not immediately obvious unless you see it graphically too.
Right.
And this is all built in. We didn't have to create any of this web interface. So
have you looked how they're implemented on Azure? I didn't. Are they Are they functions or what? Just something?
Yeah. So let's actually recreate this now. So you guys here, so before we finish this too, so this is the intermediate example I wanted to show you, but let's do the basic example first, and we're gonna actually create the hello world. So I think that's what most of you guys are gonna be starting out with anyway, the hello world. And you notice in the GitHub, I included versions where, you can do a single Azure Active Directory user. So you can do like, and there's also some where you need like a lot of Active Directory users too. And since I only have, 2 browsers on my Mac, basically maxed out at 3 users, right? So that's the versions that I'm using. So this is hello blockchain. So I'm going to run it first. Then we're going to actually, use it here.
Yeah, it looks like they're implemented as functions, the workbench functions, just as HTTP clients.
I think we need a. You know what? Let's actually recreate this application, and we definitely have time. So let's recreate the hello world, and that'll give you guys end to end how we got to this point. So I'm gonna back up. Let's go. I'm gonna go to the Azure side now. That was Azure Blockchain Workbench. This is a separate application that you can install as part of your Azure cloud. And to install this is kind of like difficult as well. So I'll go into that as well, because the documentation is not very, unfortunately, not very clear. So let's start from scratch, right? All right. So basically, when the first thing you go to portal.azure.com. And I'm already logged in, but generally it would ask you if you want to create a free account, and the free account itself would give you $200 in credits. So you can see just working on this the last couple of days, all these examples, I spent $1.93. So not bad, I guess not great, but not bad. To do all these blockchain examples, basically. So the first thing I did was, I go to Azure Blockchain Service, and you have to basically add this to you have to add this to your account. And then generally, that's basically all the documentation goes into. Unfortunately, that's not enough, right? And what you also need beyond this is you need the Azure Active Directory, because you quickly realize that anything you do in blockchain service, you need to have basically in Ethereum, you need to have like accounts, right? And in Azure world that's an Active Directory thing. So basically then you have to go to Active Directory and create basically new users. And which means that you need to have like additional email addresses. So luckily I had several email addresses for myself. So basically I went to users, and you do new guest user, not new user. You have to do new guest user. So let's create one right now for Dave. Remember your email here.
DaveN@computerways.com will work, for example.
Okay.
So if you go to if you do the Azure Blockchain Workbench preview, it kicks off, it'll create all the resources. You're saying you still have to go in and make users.
Yeah, and then even then we'll get into that. Even after you install the Azure blockchain, you have to activate it, which means you have to go into PowerShell. And they definitely make you work for it. So I'm going to invite you, Dave, via email. So just click on that link, and You can you can become part of this Active Directory installation. Yeah, so there you are. So then now, yeah, invited user here. Cool. And then, so basically, one of the things you're going to get into is, great, we have Dave here. How do we add Dave to that ping pong application, right? And that's not immediately obvious, but luckily, we we struggle, so you guys don't have to. So here's how you add now Dave. Hopefully it's already activated without him clicking the link.
I got an invitation to join your directory.
So this hello, let's do the application again, the ping pong game.
So you sent it to .NET or?
Oh, but you got the invitation, right? All right.
Yeah, okay. So you sent it to .NET. Okay.
All right. So I'm going to create the hello blockchain now, and I'm going to make Dave the one of the people who has access to the application. So remember, earlier I said you need to have 2 files to create a dApp, a distributed application on Ethereum. The first one is a JSON file, and the second one is a solidity file. So here's the JSON file for hello world. We'll go to, that's the ping pong. Let's go to the hello blockchain. So hello blockchain JSON. And now the solidity file. So all this does is, you guys, when you look at the code, it's just basically, you can send a message to another user, whatever, like a sentence, a message to each other, back and forth. All right. So now we have the 2 applications. I mean, the 2 files. I'm going to hit deploy. Oh, hello blockchain is already deployed. Let's see if we can delete this.
Yeah. So Scott, I think it doesn't cost too much, is according to what Pravi's done. It only cost him a couple bucks for a couple days.
Yeah. Huh. I disabled it. Maybe just refresh here. Might have to somehow delete this. Or maybe add version. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess we should do our own documentation, because this is stuff people probably even haven't looked at in Microsoft for years.
They haven't looked at it for years. Most of it's pretty good. I'm surprised to hear you say that.
Yeah, version 2.0 is deployed, correct? All right, cool. So there's 2 members here, right? And let's add a. Let's add member. Basically, the requester and responder, right? So it's supposed to be, as someone sending money or receiving money. I just put like hello world type thing. So let's add Dave now. So the first thing you see is you can't there's no drop down to see who the people are. You have to just start typing. So if I start with P, you can see like all my 3 user groups start with P. Or with D, see Dave shows up right away. So I'll make Dave. Do you want to send money or receive money?
Doesn't matter. This is all funny money, right?
Yeah. All right. So I'll do a responder. All right, Dave. I'm going to put this in the private chat. You can also share your screen and then log in. So you'll be able to be on this same screen as well. Let me get back to the StreamYard here. Where that went. Yeah. So try to log in and then I'll
Yeah. Okay, it's going. I want to work, switch profiles, redirecting me to login. Okay. So we can't both, but I see basically hello blockchain. I see the same thing that you see.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember how to start this here. Oh, I think it's because, so the responder, requester, oh yeah, so, yes, I'm not a user here, so I have to, so let me go back to, so I have to use my other two accounts. So my admin account isn't a user, so that's great to know, to see that it's actually picking that up. All right, so now let's get to one of my accounts that actually is a user here.
So that's what I'm seeing.
What are you saying?
No, I was saying I just show you that this is what I see.
All right, cool. So you're a
Right here, let me so I see hello blockchain.
So yeah, that's cool. So keep that open. So you're a responder. We'll double click on that just so you can see what it is, right? So
Right.
you're a responder, right? So I'm gonna get one of my accounts as a requester, which is the Prov account, and then I'm gonna send you.
It should show up in this table.
Yeah, let's. All right, cool.
By the way, we didn't practice this, but that's okay.
All right, so I'm gonna share my screen again so you guys can see it get there. All right, so you see here on the you see that, so Prava Transmedia, my Transmedia is the requester and Dave is the responder, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna hit new. I'm gonna put, what's the HAL thing? Hello, Dave. HAL.
Hello, Dave.
Odyssey 2001.
Yeah.
Hello, Dave. I will not take over the spaceship.
I think everything's going fine.
Don't worry. You guys know we also host the Miami Science Fiction Film Festival, so a lot of insider jokes here, people in the audience. All right, so now, Dave, now you share your screen.
So it's working on contract ID 10. It may take a few minutes, unquote.
Yeah, it's hopefully it'll be.
Hopefully it's less than a few minutes. There we go. So I got a request.
Yeah, so now, yeah, double click on that.
Yeah.
As you can see, so, and then, so wait, so then wait until the, So look at so you see the request message right there. Hello, Dave. I will not take over the spaceship.
Yep.
Don't worry. So now you can respond. So you click on take action.
Yep.
Yep. And click on take action. And then send a response message. Yeah, just keep it here. You see now the status this is the second update to the smart contract. And
right. So if we put yours, go ahead.
Right. So try to yeah, hi Hal, there it is. And then let me share my screen so I can show everyone what I see.
I got it.
So hi Hal, there it is.
Yeah.
There. And then we can just keep going back and forth.
Right, but the idea is that you can do anything with this. You know, anything that's a packet, you can securely trade it back and forth.
Yeah. So basically, I mean, it's interesting because we can see this in a web interface. So it's really good for it's a development effort too. And then after this point, then you can go into whatever you need to go into Unity or your JavaScript or whatever else. Because just to get to this point, in normal blockchain parlance, there's a lot of like behind the screen scaffolding that Azure is doing for you too. Even this nice web interface too. We're having this button up here to take action. That's not built into Ethereum. It's not built to Remix or any of that stuff too.
Right.
So it's just really cool.
Yeah.
And this blockchain workbench, this isn't the same thing that everyone normally thinks about Ethereum blockchain. We'll get into that now too, the VS Code blockchain extensions. I know you had a comment earlier, Dave, in the private chat about that too. This isn't that. Basically, the Azure blockchain extension of VS Code, that's similar to Remix. But this is like a whole nother level, and this is newer too. That's why it's preview.
Right.
So I'm really, I might not be using the VS Code as much, but I'll definitely be using this. This is super.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This makes it understandable.
Yeah. So you can see, and then plus this is now if Hal wanted to like wipe out its its steps, right, of its becoming evil AI, it can't because the blockchain is basically keeping the AI honest, right? Just like, we had the AI Blockchain Alliance meetups too, where we show how blockchain is deterministic while AI is probabilistic, and combining the two, you can actually keep AI basically from going amok and doing bad things. So it looks like Barca is here too in the backstage. It's kind of cool.
I just wanted to say hi. I'm
Hey,
not
what's up?
on camera. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Okay.
our vegan, we got a vegan group here. We're outnumbering. We got to get Dave converted.
Well, he likes my vegan food. He loves.
I do. I enjoy every time I go over to Barca's house. She always has goodies. It's always good.
Yeah,
I now buy those veggie sausages, so they're pretty good.
Definitely make him vegan if I cook for him every day, right?
Yeah.
yeah. I still have to get to. I mean, when you start your meetups again, that'd be.
I know. I can't wait.
Yeah.
No, this is brilliant. I haven't really played with the new workbench yet.
Yeah.
So
this is fun stuff. Yeah, I've dabbled a little bit with some of this stuff, but not on Azure. So I didn't know till really the last couple of days that this even existed. So.
Yeah. So, yeah, you're right. Let's go into that because that's super new. I think a lot of people on the live stream will be more confused about that than the VS Code's been out for a while. So let's go into the new stuff, and I'll follow up at the end with the older stuff, the blockchain development kit. So the first thing, remember I said the first thing you did was we have to install Azure blockchain, then Azure Active Directory. And then this is where it gets a little bit hairy because this is a preview. The blockchain workbench is a preview type thing. So if you notice, if you click on here, it doesn't show up, right? It's so what I did, I mean, I have a bookmark on my other computer, but let's see, yeah, so basically just in fact, Dave, maybe we can do it on your end too, because I have it already installed. We can probably just install it on your thing if you want to go through that.
Sure. What are we installing?
Blockchain Workbench on your Azure account, and then we'll go through the PowerShell commands.
Okay, I did the install.
Oh, you did? Okay.
But I didn't do anything else.
Okay, yeah. Let's just show your screen. Then let's see what point you're at, and then we'll get yours up and running with the ping pong hello world. Because it seems like I can't do it twice on my end. We even saw hello world. Well, I guess it had different versioning, so I guess it did work in the end. But
hold on a sec.
But the PowerShell, that's definitely people I think we need to tell people how to do, because that's not easy. Because even the error messages are, I don't know when the LLL came on, but I'm putting it on now. Yeah, so how much money do you know is charged? So Scott, so basically it costs about $1. It costs about $1.17 basically, that for creating all the side services, the Active Directory, the Azure blockchain, and then the Workbench, all that stuff. It doesn't cost you any extra to install these applications. Microsoft basically is charging you for the server time too. So Blockchain Workbench is the software is free. So yeah, so that's that.
Yeah, so let's see. Trying to get to my resources. Everything's slow with video going.
Yeah.
Do. Yeah,
Damien's a blockchain. That was the LOL for.
Oh, okay. Right. But since we got that screenshot now, I could take it out of context easily.
There you go.
That's very, very memeable. All right. Can you increase? We can probably just take out our pictures too, so we can get the bigger. There it is. Yeah.
It's slow.
All right. So the first thing you get to go to, click on. Did you already create the Azure Active Directory?
I pushed the button that said install the Workbench, and it did all this stuff.
Can we take a look at where you deployed it? Did you isolate it in a resource group? I want to see what it.
I did. Yes, I'm in the resource group now.
All right. What's the resource group? Where does it say?
ABW_testing. I called it.
I'm just looking at what it deployed.
Yeah. So it's.
All right. So let's do it this way. Then I'll show you why it didn't work this way. Because this is what I am sure everyone else does too.
Because it has a whole list of stuff that is set up. It's set up.
So
app service and the event grid and the application insights. It gives you a whole list on the install page of what it's going to install.
Right.
Yeah. So it's basically though. Let's see if it works. Maybe it will work for you. And so for me, just out of the box, it didn't work. Let's see if it works.
And what do you do next? That's what wasn't
so
clear.
for me, for me, I just tried it out and it didn't work. Let's just see if it works for you. So basically, the first thing you do is well, I think you have to install this through Active Directory though. So go back to your dashboard. Make sure you have Active Directory installed.
My dash. Well,
Oh, upper left, yeah.
yeah, certainly I have Active Directory somewhere.
Okay, cool. Yeah, as long as you have a tenant where you can install it, that's fine.
Right, it's not associated with this so much, but yeah.
All right.
But you're saying you need something else besides what installed here?
This should be fine later on when we actually like create the ping pong game. Then like you have, we have to create the Dave or create the Prov, the actual users to play the game.
So I go to all resources. And I could just search for Active Directory, I guess. It's probably the smart thing to do.
Yeah, that's the fastest way.
Yeah.
All right. So now let's just try it out. Maybe it'll work. If it doesn't, then we'll go back to that. So now you have to go back to your resource group, and then click on the test resource that you made earlier.
Okay. So here's my Active Directory. It's very slow flipping between these. So get out of here.
Yeah, maybe you can add me to yours. Like add a new. No, it has to be a guest user, not a regular user. Unless you want me to use up all your Azure credits for you.
Nope. Actually, I was right there. That.
Yeah, it's fine. Well, you can. That's fine. Users and then new guest user.
And what's your email?
Pravy at Gmail, Pravvy at Gmail. You just do Prav, it's fine. Yeah, 2 V's. Y at Gmail. Yeah. Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
And then invite. Okay, great. So now go back to the resources group, the one you created earlier, the test.
Mm-hmm. What did I call it?
Yeah, ABW testing, the first one.
This makes for stunning presentations, huh?
Yeah, and then you can go to the under the filter. You just click on the filter. Yeah, and type in
yeah.
You have to go to apps, app service for type.
Yeah, got a couple.
So the one without the one without the second one, not the one with API. That's the one. Yeah, click on that. So copy the URL from there.
Excuse me.
Sure, no problem.
Okay, so this will have a URL.
Yeah, because now this is the part that I'm sure everyone's going to have a hard time with because this isn't explained very well.
Right.
And you have to copy that. Yeah, copy that and open it up in another browser.
Another browser or just another tab?
Yeah, another tab's fine.
Okay.
So you have to copy the command first.
This one?
Yeah. And then launch the Cloud Shell.
And what did it say there? It said launch. Okay. It says launch it, and then yeah. Okay. Come on, Prompty. Wow, got our best shell.
Takes a minute.
Yeah. Is this actually spinning up a VM?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a PowerShell, but
Well, with the
in
cloud
browser.
shell. Yeah.
It uses a shared VM, but it'll connect to the storage and all that stuff.
Right. How have you been, Barca? I haven't talked to you for a while.
I know. I've been great. Busy but great.
Yeah, me too. I did 2 weeks of classic ASP. I just got dragged into it.
Oh, I pretend not to know it.
That was fun though. It was. Does it still take?
Anything I don't enjoy doing, I pretend I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, I hadn't really touched any for about 20 years, so seems like late 90s, I guess.
So that's another Daisy out of context. I'm not sure what that's from.
Oh, yeah.
Leaf is a regular at our developing meetups, blockchain meetups. Is it still waiting, or is it no? You don't want to use Bash. You want to use PowerShell. Do the drop down. Yeah, PowerShell.
Nice. So while Dave is running the PowerShell script, I mean, aside from smart contract, what are the uses?
Yeah, so it's this stuff is pretty. If you're a Microsoft developer, this is one of the tools that you definitely should start using like immediately. Like log off this call and start using it. Drop everything else. Like don't eat dinner tonight type thing. Because even things like Microsoft Office 365, it has blockchain integration now. So basically, you can do version management of your documents in blockchain. You can do anything you do with IoT on Microsoft. You can basically put on blockchains all your temperature readings. You can have it on blockchain, the smart contracts. So just in general, we're going to go into that a little bit at the end of this meetup, how we can even do HoloLens now too with blockchain. That's a Microsoft mesh. And we're going to talk about that as well. So basically anything you normally would put in SQL Server, you could basically save permanently on blockchain, but also create interesting things since it's Ethereum, interesting things like NFTs, like tokenized things, smart contracts app. So you saw the ping pong. You have the ledger that's immutable, so that evil AI couldn't fool Dave long term. But in general, for example, right, one of the meetups we did recently was with a smart genomics company, and they're basically creating NFT out of your health record, right? So basically,
nice.
you just show someone a QR code. Your QR code gives a link to your medical records based on what you want to share with who, and also it's tradable too. And an NFT is easy to put into a crypto wallet, right? Which you might not be able to do as easily to create, taking your medical records or, tokenizing different things as easily. So NFTs can be used for art or also can be used for enterprise. And but I think Microsoft developers in general, I think will probably just really pick up on this whole proof of authority type situation too. So once you figure out Azure Active Directory with Azure blockchain services, you're going to be able to do things like security monitoring, see who accessed what resource, or who added a certain sentence to a legal contract, basically Microsoft Word document, or change some number in an Excel spreadsheet to backtrace who's doing something to your financials. Right. Anything you can do on an enterprise side, I think adding blockchain will add basically emergent functionality. So in general, we say like, if you can do the same thing with blockchain, which is use SQL Server, there's not a blockchain application. You want to find what's new, emergent, that you can't do. And that might be something for a developer to figure out too. Microsoft's just providing the tools and samples. So what's going on with this, Dave?
Good question.
Do you have a pop-up blocker that's keeping it from running?
No, I don't see. No, I don't see anything.
Maybe just hit enter. Or if you
no, I did. I tried a couple enters and
okay.
Control C, that kind of stuff. Try restarting it, I guess.
Right. Oh, there too.
Well, that looks better. At
Yeah,
least there's some.
the only place that I've seen applications has been so far a supply chain. Supply chain is using blockchain contracts, and that's pretty much for reliability and traceability for widgets, whatever that might be.
Yeah, that's always been like the first enterprise use case. The supply chain, but also the contracts that go along with the different parts of the supply chain. That's generally what happens with a private, permission blockchain. People like take their current ecosystem, their current supplier network, their current customer network, and they basically just take their current systems and put everything on blockchain. That's kind of like level 1 blockchain. That's private, but really what people like IBM and others are going to now is really a public blockchain too. So basically having things that are publicly verifiable. And that gives you a lot of more advantages, even from a societal point of view, that you're verifying what you're doing. And very few people, even IBM was like really part of Hyperledger too. They're moving away from just all these private Hyperledger repositories. So I think that's even like what's going to be happening too with Azure private blockchain too. There might be a bridge basically to verify some of the things we're doing in private on your local Dave Azure instance to publicly verifiable too, because especially if you're doing legal contracts too, if it's all private, the courts or whoever isn't going to believe that you didn't modify things on your own, but they will believe that something on the public blockchain wasn't modified. So you're kind of, giving up half the battle before you even start by just saying, I'm going to have a, private blockchain.
Yeah.
But, that's a theory, that's also like, the fact, because that's kind of what IBM, a lot of thought leaders are pushing as well. So maybe that's why a lot of these Hyperledger projects are closing, because their original use cases are gone now, that people are going to public.
Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with this. You saw it restart and it looked okay, but
all right. So let's just go through as a thought experiment. So everyone saw that you copied that shell basic comment.
Yep.
So you copy this. So basically, you log in and you paste this command, right? And the first thing it's going to ask you is what's the user, right? And this is where I got confused, and I think a lot of people get confused. When you think of user, you think of like a Unix user, right? And that's not what it's asking for. It's asking for the user for your Active Directory, your tenant user. And you have to basically type in like the hash, basically, not the username. So it's not like dave@computerways.net. It's the hash of your name too. That's what it's expecting. So it took a good amount of time to figure that out. So let's go back to your Active Directory to show people how you find that too, because that was also hard to find. To go back to users, your Active Directory, yeah. I mean, a user that has not the new one, but basically a user that has admin privileges. So one of your existing user accounts, not the one you just created for me.
Yeah, I mean, normally when you use the CLI, yeah, normally when you use the CLI, you would log in with one of these users.
Yeah, so click on one of the users that has admin privileges. Probably the Dave one.
Yeah, for sure. And what are we looking for? What do you?
That object ID. Yeah. So you click
Okay.
on that. Yeah. So you click on, yeah.
hash,
So
yeah.
that's the thing that took me forever because I was using things like, your principal name and I did everything right. Then, so basically it's looking for the object ID and that's what you type in. That's what you paste in, when you're prompted for the Active Directory tenant, basically. After you do the PowerShell, the next prompt is this, basically. And once you do that, then can you change browsers? Maybe a different browser will get your PowerShell working. Because this is kind of like probably one of the big things is people are going to be confused about, like how to even, because you can't install Workbench unless you do these steps in PowerShell. Oh, there it is. Cool. Yeah. Great. Yeah. So do the PowerShell pasting now.
Oops.
No, that's your object ID. Yeah. Go back to the other thing. Yeah.
Let me just get rid of it. What do I need here?
That's the object ID for that hash earlier. Yeah.
I've never seen it used.
Oh, actually, no. Go back to the principal name. Yeah, maybe I was. It's one of those weird things there. Yeah. Do the principal name. The Dave Computer Ways. Yeah, I'm not sure if it got the whole thing though. If you might somehow maybe expand your screen. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, on the top right there. Yeah. Do that whole thing. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, go back to PowerShell.
Yeah, I think it's the tenant something else.
Please enter the Azure Active Directory tenant you would like to use.
Yeah, so that would be.
Oh, that's the AZ one you just created.
This is the tenant.
Oh, crap.
I think it's that the name you put you had a name up there already earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is the tenant that you created my account in?
I think we're in the default directory here.
All right. Well, yeah, I think when you click on it, there'll be a name. That's what you copy and paste. Yeah, obviously this is like even going through the second time, it's hard,
Tenant ID.
Yeah, there it is. Great. Yeah, I remember it was some weird little hash. Hopefully that's the right one though, because you have a lot of tenants.
Yep.
Go ahead. Oh, great. Awesome. All right, now go to that URL now and copy and put that code in after you go to that URL.
This one?
The URL that was in the PowerShell. It's the Microsoft.com device login.
So that's kind of interesting. It actually registers the device, huh?
Yeah, so click on that. Just click on the link. It should open.
Ooh. Which one am I in?
I think it's
Um,
Can you look at tenant details and see which one you're logged into?
yeah.
The first tab on your browser.
Yeah, Davin at computerways.net.
Were you seeing that?
Upper right.
Upper right corner where your login.
Yeah, so that should be
Yeah,
.com.
so use the same account there for sign
Yeah,
into account.
right. So it's okay. So I got it's not any of those.
Well, yeah, you have to put in that code.
The correct one, yeah.
So that maybe it's because it's a preview edition, but you basically have to do this to add this workbench to your account. Then after this, there's another step. Then we have to go back to Active Directory and activate this workbench inside Active Directory.
It's called Identity Hell.
Yeah, I think just do the one we saw, the Davin, the second one, work 3.
It's not, that one shouldn't be associated with any Azure though.
All right.
David at Computerways.
So that's the one that you have and ton of details already.
No, but let's try it. This isn't the right one for sure. So Identity Hell is what it is. Because I know what it is. It's
that's why I use
it's a personal computerways.com. Yeah.
Yeah, work 3.
Well, yeah. See, I'm already logged into the right tenant.
I guess then no thanks then. Yeah. Cool.
But then this code.
Yeah, right? This is the power sheet. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, this should work now.
Okay, good. All right. We should be there.
Okay, so yep, we're good.
So
it's updating the workbench.
Yeah, just give it a second. Then after this, we have to go back to the portal. And then we have to add this to your Active Directory now. We have to activate. This is an application within Active Directory.
I know we can't do it yet, but.
Yeah, so if you go back to your workbench.
This one?
No, the second tab.
This one?
Yeah. Refresh your browser.
There we go.
Awesome. So now go back to the Active Directory, the Azure Active Directory tenant screen you had. Yeah. And I have to go to the app registrations and then click on new registration. Yeah, the plus button.
Oh, wait. It's already there, wasn't it?
Already there, yeah. Go back, it's there.
Did you do this already, Dave?
No, I think we just did it in the PowerShell.
Oh, maybe. Oh, yeah. It did. This portion didn't have. Yeah, double click on that. That's cool. Yeah, it did. Yeah, this didn't work for. I mean, I had to do this manually, so that's cool. I did it for you automatically.
Okay. So then this should be this, right? No.
Yeah, you should be able to refresh, and you're good to go.
So did you wait? I missed that. Can you go back? Did you put in the name and your what accounts?
No, I just refreshed the where we started from with the PowerShell command.
All right.
Okay.
Good. And so let's create the hello world now.
Okay.
So on, no, go stay there.
I know. I'm just looking around. Yeah.
Sure.
Got it. What do I do?
Just click on refresh to get rid of that error message.
Okay.
And then click on new. Do you have the did you already fork the GitHub I gave you?
I did.
Yeah, so just browse to wherever you have it. Just browse and get the JSON for Hello World. It can be any JSON for one of the GitHub I gave you. It doesn't have to be Hello World. Hello World is the one that only requires 2 users.
Which one is this? Is this under samples or?
Yeah, sample it. But you can click on browse so we can see your screen too. Sample application.
Sorry. You're in a. I'm on a different window. That's all. Okay. But in your demo, which one is it? It's. Yeah,
it's this.
So I'm under blockchain. I got down here. Blockchain workbench.
Yeah, it should be a samples directory.
Yeah, there's samples. And there's Corda demo.
Yeah, no, it's not Corda. It's basically like application smart contract samples. And then hello blockchain. So basically it's a blockchain workbench.
Workbench, yeah.
And then application smart contract samples.
Yep. Hello blockchain.
Yeah, so upload the JSON under browse.
Got it.
And then I do the same thing for the SOL.
Yep. What is the SOL?
That's the actual Solidity. Yeah, why don't you open both up for everyone at home to see, in an editor or VS Code. We can go through I've been kind of went through that earlier, but we can just show how the messages are sent back and forth.
Yeah. Let's proceed here while we're here. Then we can go back.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that kind of stuff people can do on their own. Hello World they kind of don't need us for that. There's a lot of material on.
So we have to add members.
Yeah. So remember here, you have to start typing, manually. So, Dave is one.
Okay. So we got you as
yeah, why don't you can also add a
what?
Let me make sure I'm just accepting the invite you sent earlier to join your organization. I think it worked. All right, in the private chat, can you put in the private chat that URL, and I'll try to log in now to your organization.
Just of this.
Yeah, that URL. Yeah. That we should let people at home also try it out too.
So I was able to deploy the workbench and go through PowerShell, all that stuff.
Cool. Yeah, I see it also. All right, great. So you have to on the member, you have to assign one person as the requester, one person as the responder.
Yeah.
Did you already? So I'm
I'm the responder. You're the requester.
all right. So I'm gonna let me share my screen. So then so you guys can see me doing the request. All right. So this is hello blockchain. This is on my side. I'm the requester. I'm gonna hit new. I'm gonna say, hey, I'm back. Vegan pirate here.
So I'll put mine on. So I have mine up here now. I received your request. And I can respond. And now you should see it coming back.
Doll, anyone? Oh, cool. Yeah.
All right, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically,
I
built
a blockchain app.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
copy and
basically
paste,
what you just did, like literally, if this was like 2018, 2017,
yeah,
like not only would it have been like really tough, but like it would have been like basically superhero, like you have to be. I mean, just like any sort of new technology, right? You'd have to like really be like Einstein level to figure this stuff out.
yeah, a lot of code to do something.
Yeah,
in some ways simple, but I mean, it's created 2 websites. There's databases. There's all sorts of infrastructure that got spun up. So cool. Well, that's very awesome. Very awesome. I'll become a blockchain developer now, Prav.
Yeah, this is. I mean, Barca had a good point though. Like, what would we use this for besides like typical Ethereum stuff? And that's actually a good follow up. Is maybe we should. Oh yeah, let's actually go into the XR, the Microsoft Mesh and HoloLens. But like, basically, we should go into.
It's too much. It's already 9 o'clock. Yeah.
Okay. Well, just before everyone goes in, like, yeah, you guys know Microsoft Mesh is the metaverse version of Magic Leap has Magicverse. Everyone has basically their Google has their version of basically how you take real world objects and put them into a virtual world too. So you can even have like overlays, different verses on top of each verses. So Rony Abovitz used to say it's like skinning your world, right? So I could skin my world with just all Twitch, right? I can have everything Twitch gaming related. Dave could have it, or Barker could have everything like doll related too, or whatever it is, right? You see different versions in your augmented reality or whatever you're thinking of too.
That is so sexist. I just want to say.
Doll?
Well,
actually, you're right. You're right.
We were talking about cooking though. So.
There's a lot of female gamers.
I'm kidding.
Because I know you have a actual cooking meetup. So vegan cooking meetup.
I do. I have a cooking meetup. So yeah.
I started baking bread. I got myself a big KitchenAid mixer because I try to make bread by hand, and I got sore arms trying to mix it. So I got myself a real mixer. So I've been having a lot of fun with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But so just to wrap up, so basically what you would put in, so this stuff's all in like not even preview. It's basically private invite only type thing, Microsoft Mesh. But just to give you a heads up, right? What happens is you have something called GeoPose, right? If you guys notice in like HoloLens or even AltSpace and any sort of even VR type things too, you basically have avatars, and avatars try to mimic how you actually are in real life too. So, if I'm smiling, somehow the Microsoft services have to interpret what you're doing in real life to how your avatar is behaving too. So that's kind of called a not just where you are in the world, but also how you're posing in the world too, GeoPose. So there's things like GeoPose APIs, which is kind of an open source thing, and hopefully Microsoft is putting into this mesh type system. And then also on the blockchain too, is, you know, things like IoT, like digital twins, all that stuff is a little bit just like software code, but just like Ethereum is also just software code too. If something has real like scarcity, real immutability, then that becomes real, or just as real as, you know, any sort of NFT art object that sells for millions of dollars too. So basically, when you have blockchain added to the digital twin concept in Microsoft Mesh, then what you're doing in Microsoft Mesh with Azure blockchain services is creating much higher value for your app, your game, whatever you're building too. It's not just like another like, hello world. It's actually, you're creating real value for your clients. So I think that's something that definitely, you know, it's such early days. You know, anyone doing it now, you'll definitely be one of the few people doing it because it's not even open to the public yet. But I'm sure, you know, people figure out a way to get their hands on this Microsoft code. So
cool. Well, thanks a lot, Pravi. We've done a lot tonight. It's one of the longest meetings we ever had.
Oh yeah, man. We're used to, we do our meetings like 5.5 hours on average.
Yeah.
So.
I'll do that on Saturday morning starting that.
You know why? So you see, it's all these Twitch people, right? You know,
Yeah.
They kind of like lose track of time and
night owls. Yeah.
Actually, this was fantastic. So.
Yeah.
And
no, this is great.
Cancel erase my comment. I was joking, but it landed very badly. So.
No, we got to be careful though, because, you know, I have to watch, because people might be watching this like a year later, right? When they don't know you or I, they don't know the context that you have a cooking meetup. So, or, you know, that stuff. And the doll, they might not see the doll comment in the previous comment that,
yeah.
on the demo. So,
no, totally.
Just like I'm going to take your LOL out of context on purpose for a meme. People can do it.
Yeah. Funny.
Cool. Yeah. But yeah, because we try to do a lot of workshop things with the cloud group, and it was difficult.
You know, I think the big thing is, you know, if people are like playing games anyway for like, they spend like a whole weekend playing games. So like, you know, catering to their personal interest, I think is good. Just like in here, we're talking about like, what does a Microsoft developer actually work on, right? You know, Office or IoT, putting it in that context where stuff they enjoy, you know, they might enjoy doing an IoT hackathon anyway, whether they're here or not. I think they'll, you know, get them into the flow. And,
well, it's use cases, like how do you use it? You know, I don't have any customers knocking down my door to make blockchain contracts. You know, it's the same thing with you know, augmented reality. You know, it's like, it's cool, it's coming, but you know, business, it's not to a point where, now it is somewhat, but it's not to a point where businesses can easily use it without a big investment. But it's coming.
Yeah, but I think
because the ease and cost of blockchain is coming way down. So,
but I think that's also a good point too about your customers. You know, basically, you know, talking about how this is monetizable is really important too. Like, you know, it's the first thing we had was how do people apply for a grant? Basically, you know, that was the first speaker today. So basically, it has to be some carrot to you know.
Yeah.
As well, so
I like to get paid.
Yeah, it's tons of money, man, in this Ethereum now. We're all. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, yeah, thanks for the opportunity. Really, it's very
yeah. Thanks a lot. Appreciate all your efforts. So.
Cool.
Yeah, this was amazing. Thank you so much, Praveen.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, and hopefully we'll do this in person at some point.
Yeah, definitely.
It's coming later this year, I think. So.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, man.
Well, good night, everybody.
Night.
I'm ending the broadcast.